Hafa day, everyone. Again, welcome to the University of Guam Virtual Conference Series on Island Sustainability. My name is Austin Shelton, and I serve as the Director of the UOG Center for Island Sustainability. And while we wish that we could have all been together in person, we recognize that this new virtual conference platform provides an unparalleled opportunity to bring islanders and allies together from around the world. As island people, we remain resilient and prepared to adapt to the challenges before us. Sustainability is more important than ever, and we are proud to continue moving sustainable action forward as we present the theme, Island Wisdom for a Global Future. Sijuas Maasi, and thank you for logging in to spend some time together today. In just a moment, I will be joined by our conference co-chairs. So let me introduce them a little bit. Dr. Thomas W. Krise is the 11th president of the University of Guam. He grew up in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and he is a former president of Pacific Lutheran University in Washington State. He is a graduate and former faculty member of the Air Force Academy, and he was also a Fulbright Scholar at the University of West Indies in Jamaica and has published numerous articles on island literature. Governor Leon Guerrero was inaugurated as the first female governor of Guam in 2018. She started her career as a nurse. She served 5 terms in the Guam legislature, and she was also the president of the Bank of Guam and president of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. Hafa day, President Krise and Governor Leon Guerrero.
To this, it's 309 participants. That's terrific.
Hafa day, I was muted, so I didn't get to chime in. So thank you, Austin, and of course the president and all the people that have brought this organization together. It is unfortunate that as a result of the pandemic, coronavirus, that we're in this kind of situation, because we can't really touch each other and hug each other, but I'm giving you air hug.
Thank you very much, Governor. And so let's start the conversation. And with you first, Governor, could you please share with our conference participants a little bit about how Guam is doing during the COVID-19 pandemic and how your administration has been responding?
Yes, you know, we've actually been tracking this COVID virus since January, February, and when we were finally have the reality that it has infected our island, we responded very quickly and responded very discipline-wise. We responded very aggressively. We put in measures that we can then contain our virus. And so today, I'm really very happy to say that we have only had 146 cases. We have 131 recoveries. So we really only have about 15 active cases. And in terms of hospitalization, we have no one in the hospital that's COVID related. And in terms of testing, we are getting to the level of capacity where we have now expanded our testing out there. And one of the reasons we want to do that is we want to have an idea of community spread. And so once we get that information, we can then isolate people who are positive out there that we don't know are positive, but still contagious. So we can isolate them and make sure that our people's contact transmissions will be minimized. So we are now only looking at maybe 1 positive a day, 2 positive a day. We've done northern outreach. We're now at central outreach, and I'm very excited about the numbers. And so our administration continues to work very closely with our federal partners, our experts in CDC, World Health Organization, HHS, FEMA, and so forth, to provide the necessary supplies and resources to be able to fight this god-awful virus that has killed thousands and thousands of people worldwide. And of course, now we are seeing global COVID cases of 3-some million. It's something that is, I think, very unprecedented. And as we move forward and evolve, we're providing our own processes and templates, and we'll be even more ready for the next one. Hopefully no next one, but we'll be more ready. So I think our administration has been very responsive to fight. And I just want to say the community has also been very supportive and worked really hard. they're struggling, they're tired of being in their homes, but they're very patient and tolerant and very supportive.
Thank you very much, Governor, for sharing about how Guam is doing during this pandemic. President Krise, what is the status of the University of Guam and how are we responding and innovating at this time?
So we've went, as so many other universities did, we went sort of instantly online. We delayed a week so we could all sort of figure it all out. And so we're operating, all of our classes are in remote operation, and we're on schedule to finish the semester and graduate about 342 students. At a ceremony, we've decided to do a virtual ceremony on the 18th of June. And so we're still working on the components of that. The university put on a telethon to raise money for personal protective equipment and food and water for the health centers and the hospitals and so on. Very successful virtual telethon with great, we had musical entertainment, we had tips on how to grow things in your yard, how to cope with isolation, all kinds of information and entertainment, and we doubled our goal and we wound up raising a total of $48,000 for masks and gowns and face shields and so on. So that's been, a lot of activity going on in the university, a lot of logistical support for our for the nurses, so our nursing faculty and many of the students have been involved in the call centers and at the health centers and so on, so that we've created a logistical operation taking donated food. We have chefs from Guam Community College and from restaurants across the island who volunteer their time to cook, and then cooking the donated food. And then we've got teams of UOG people driving the food around to deliver 275 meals a day to support all of the health activities. So there's been a tremendous amount of activity going on, even though much of it's going on in individual houses and apartments and so on. So it's been a very good experience for seeing how supportive people are in the university and across the island. And we've also been meeting regionally, the presidents of the regional colleges in Micronesia and also including American Samoa. We've been meeting every other week to sort of compare notes and see what we can do. The telethon helped us figure out how to do some of the elements of a virtual commencement. We heard from American Samoa that they had a measles outbreak in the fall and they had to shut down for 3 weeks in this very same manner. And so they postponed their December graduation to May, and now here they're in this semester, and they've had to delay the May graduation. So their advice to us was try to do something virtual, even if you have the virtual graduates eventually do an in-person one, which is, of course, will allow that to happen too. So it's been great comparing notes. I think there's a lot of good coming out of the what we're learning about the online education and the ways to take fuller advantage of the connectivity among our islands. So I think there's a lot that can come out of this. We're learning a lot, despite the, how hard this is. I think there's a lot of good that can come of it.
Thank you, Dr. Krise. Governor, as conference co-chair, you chose to present the theme Island Wisdom for a Global Future. What does this mean to you, and how is it relevant to all of our conference participants with us today?
Of course, in order for us to prepare for the future, we need to learn from what we have now and what we have had in the past. And I think we here in Guam, in the Marianas, has a lot to contribute in terms of island wisdom. Historically, before we were ever introduced to the western part of the world, our people were very self-sustainable. We were a united Marianas, and we had a really robust commerce and trade between our islands. People that lived throughout the Marianas chain of islands were able to visit with each other using their galidi, their proas, go back and forth, and also a lot of commerce and trade using agriculture, also fishing, all products that we can generate from our own natural resources from the land and from the waters. And so I think what we can learn from that is our ability to grow our own products, our ability to grow our own vegetables, our ability to fish, our techniques of fishing, and maybe include and add on technology to that for future global sustainability. And also just wanted to say that we also were very resilient and survived World War II. We were able to still live off the land. So we've had major disasters and major threats and even major struggles and battles that would then make us more encouraged and courageous about using our own wisdom, our own techniques for sustainability. One, of course, that we're facing is the pandemic, and it really just proves the point about how being very dependent of outside forces could also be a weakness, because our ports could close very rapidly. Our island tourism, which is the basis of our economy, is dead for all purposes. It's really affecting our people in terms of being able to provide for their family and provide for their normal, whatever normal is now, daily living. And so it just shows us that it's very important that we have the mechanism, the system, the programs, the products, the ways that we can sustain ourselves, because one click or one snap of the fingers could make us be totally isolated from the world. And we need to be prepared so that when that isolation, which is what's happening now, occurs, that we can be able to continue on with that. So when that happens, we need to make sure that we have used up or able to use whatever internal natural resources that we have. And so one of the things, of course, I've always been very focused on is how can we improve our agriculture system? How can we improve and increase and enhance our aquaculture industries? These are two main industries that I think we need to totally focus on and make sure that it's vibrant, and make sure it is viable, and make sure that we can have those sources, not only just because it's the healthy way, and not only because it'll provide jobs in another industry for us to diverse our economy, but because it is the right direction, I think, for food sustainability, and also for economic sustainability, and even for social sustainability. And so looking back, learning from our ancestors is very good wisdom that we can use. We use that wisdom and knowledge and skills and information to move forward to our future global environment that I think should be totally made to convert back into the natural resources that we have. And that's, I think, the way we can sustain our livelihood, our viability, our quality of life.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Governor, for sharing your perspective on our theme. President Krise, we're going to move into the conversation about the Guam Green Growth Initiative that we recently launched together with the Office of the Governor and 80 partners from across the island. And so it actually brings together academia, the private sector, and nonprofits. What are your thoughts on how we can all work together to achieve a sustainable global future in this concept of the Guam Green Growth Initiative?
Mm-hmm. So I think a key idea of the Guam Green Growth Initiative is enhancing our resilience as a society. And so I think this pandemic has actually just called so much attention to our dependence on outside food sources. 90% of what we consume in Guam is imported, and I'm sure that's a similar figure for many of the other islands on the conference call. The alliance of the academic agriculture specialists and aquaculture specialists with the industry and with government to try to encourage this activity, I think, is really central. And so the role that academe can play is to provide expertise and training and examples of what works. And so we have our Triton Farm in Jigo here in the northern part of Guam that has demonstrations of aquaculture and aquaponic operations, as well as a variety of other kinds of agriculture. And we have, thanks to the governor's focus on aquaculture, we have a large shrimp hatchery, not only to produce shrimp, but also to create pathogen-free breed stock. And so we've just launched a public-private partnership to expand that operation. And so these kinds of opportunities help us to combine the needs of the island in terms of food security with business activities, with profit-making operations in agriculture, and government support to help make these things happen. So in a weird way, the pandemic has made all of this much more obvious, and I think can help us with the kind of political will to see these kinds of projects through, and to accentuate our resilience and our food security.
Thank you, President Krise. I just have one more question for the governor before we move on to the next panel with the Local 2030 Islands Network, where we can discuss more in detail these types of concepts. But Governor, our university and the Center for Island Sustainability is really pleased to be partnering with your administration and over 80 working group members around the island on Guam Green Growth. We're also thankful for our Hawaii Green Growth partners who are helping us along the way as they share lessons in a similar process. So we're excited for them to be on the next panel. What's really interesting, I think, that I learned from Hawaii Green Growth is that the green growth concept was actually initially developed as a strategy for economic recovery following the 2008 global financial crisis. So yesterday, Governor, you shared that your Chalan Para Hinemlu, or Road to Recovery plan for COVID-19. My question is, how do you think that Guam Green Growth can help lead the way to recovery and recreate an island economy more resilient to disruptions in the global economy?
First, let me just say thank you for the partnership from all over our region here with the Guam Green Growth, because I do see the Guam Green Growth playing a very important role in our recovery. And how I see that is, I did roll up our recovery plan, and it's a very phased-in recovery plan, along with making sure we do testing, making sure we monitor our community spread, and making sure we put in measures to, again, continue to contain and sustain our low positive cases of COVID virus. And so as we move along from phase 1 to phase 2, phase 3, one of the biggest challenge for me is, how do we rebuild our economy, especially our tourism economy, which is very dependent on outside travel, outside migration. And how do I protect the safety and health of our community and still bring in outside, outside exposure and potential risk for COVID reinfection? So that's a big challenge that we're working on. But more so, I think, this is an opportunity to get together and look at take all of our talented minds and ideas. We're focusing on sustainability, focusing on, of course, environmental cleanliness, focusing also on the goals of the UN, lifting people out of poverty and so forth, and focus on what industries do we have here that we can exhaust and that we can expand and that we can grow. I'd love if we could be seen as the, not to be seen as the center of aquaculture industry or as the center of agriculture industry in this part of the world, as the center of, we can now export our products over to Asian market, right? That to me, that would be just great for the future of our people. And working together with the University of Guam and also the very bright minds of our people. And let me tell you, we have a lot of talented people on island. Just think a small island like Guam, and our COVID cases are way, way, way low. And I think we're the lowest. And that's because of our talented group of people here and our persistence and our passion to protect our island, our people, and our community. So we need to look at what diverse economy we have to have that is not so reliant on outside forces. And there's a lot. There's a lot. So when you look at a community, you look at what human resources do we have, because I think those are natural resources of any communities, your human resources. Let's look at our human resources, what we can do to train them, what we can do to educate them, what other industries that we can bring in. Telecommunications is one, distance learning is another, a lot of things that we can do through internet and networking and technology, and group it together with our brothers and sisters in the other islands, right? The sovereign nations, we have Hawaii, we have Australia, way down Australia. I mean, I think the options are vast out there. And I would like to see our recovery towards, hey, let's get a group of people to start working on this, planning on what those diverse economies can be to strengthen that so we are sustainable.
Thank you very much, Governor. Great answers. And thank you very much, Dr. Krise. Thank you both for agreeing to co-chair our University of Guam Virtual Conference Series on Island Sustainability. It was wonderful having this opening discussion with you. And thank you all to our participants. We're at about 326 in the room right now. That's really great. Thank you all for logging in. Now we're just going to play a short transition video, and we're going to jump right into the next panel with Kate Brown, the Executive Director of the Global Island Partnership. So see you in just a minute. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.